Christian Horner amid the 400th Grand Prix for the Red Bull team boss are speculations that he could very well be on the way out. I saw a lot of this creeping up around Twitter, a couple of other social media spaces, questions about whether or not Christian Horner would be, the team principal moving forward at Red Bull amid the team's, recent, let's say, downturn in performance overall. Max Verstappen's absolutely carrying the team as we speak, but a little bit of the conversation there. A 6-time Constructors Championship winner, 120 Grand Prix wins, 8 Drivers' Championships between Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. So where could this be stemming from? What do we think could be the point behind or where this is really coming from, Kevin?
This could be coming from a lot of different areas. There's been a lot of struggle and a lot of trouble in the Red Bull garage under Horner's name. Obviously, the allegations that he went under last year and how that was all taken care of with kind of like a swept under the rug situation. Solution was kind of sketchy. Obviously Max's dad hasn't been all too supportive of Horner. It's kind of there's been a lot of boiling. There's been a lot of like tension, and it's not really hard to tell. And obviously you're not putting the perfect teammate next to Max, and you've struggled with finding a second driver since you've had Max and even before Max. So look, this is a problem that if they're like, look, Horner's had his opportunities of number 2 drivers. Horner's had his opportunity of getting drivers into the Red Bull Junior Academy. If he obviously is not succeeding in that area, I could see how this could happen, but the likeliness, I don't know, man. That's crazy.
I mean, the exodus of team personnel, like you mentioned, scandals. Last year, talk of the town all around Bahrain was the stemming from an inappropriate relationship, allegations of misconduct within the team that were being investigated, which were later dismissed by the Red Bull team. Designer Adrian Newey left as well amid all of this to Aston Martin, or at least a little bit later anyway. Sporting director Jonathan Wheatley, now with Audi/Stake, also left amid all of this. Success breeds, in Formula One anyway, success breeds people leaving, seeking other opportunities, seeking new challenges. McLaren were a benefit of their success that they had in 2023, at least. You guys got Rob Marshall, who's been massive behind the development of the MCL 39 and 38 and onwards. So a lot of success in recent history. In my opinion, I don't know if this is necessarily, going to happen, but the drop-offs in performance seem to be, or really kind of seem to be the narrative here. Red Bull sitting in 3rd place in the Constructors Championship. Honestly, they could be in 4th place if Ferrari hadn't had a double DQ in China. 3rd place in the Constructors in 2023 with a Max Verstappen championship, and struggles, like you mentioned, to find the seat, fill the seat appropriately opposite of Max Verstappen. Yuki Tsunoda, the latest, after Liam Lawson got ousted after just 2 races. The mismanagement of that driver lineup being headline worthy throughout this season. And heading into 2026, the new regulations alongside their partnership with Ford to make the next power unit, there's a lot of concerns being on the back foot behind Mercedes, potentially Ferrari as well, that could risk pushing Max Verstappen out the door if they aren't able to compete at the front, which they're barely even doing so at the moment. Ford CEO Mark Rushbrook, told motorsport.com that they're on track with their own development programs, voiced some confidence, but they also voiced the kind of a temperament of expectations as well, as far as what they're looking at for 2026. They're saying they're meeting all their internal goals, but they have no way of knowing how far away they are from the competition. Is it really happening? What do you think? You kind of alluded to this already. You don't really think so?
I don't think this is going to happen. They're completely different people. But when you think of Red Bull, you kind of think of Christian Horner. I mean, obviously you think of Max, but other than the driver side of things, just like how when you think of Mercedes, you think of Toto Wolff. Like those are just kind of guys that are in your head are always going to be at the same place for a long period of time. And he has. And I don't think there's a reason to can him. And also, if they did who's next? Like, who's going to want to take that spot in Red Bull?
I mean, that's a position that's insanely coveted. Exactly. I think there's always going to be suitors, and there's always going to be there's going to be people within the organization that want it. But you're right. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And again, I mentioned earlier in this segment that the amount of success that Christian has had with Red Bull, even amid everything else that's happened in that team as of late, I just don't think that it's going to be enough for him to immediately just get dropped midseason the way that he's dropped drivers midseason. Having somebody that's been behind so much success in Formula One, one of the best team principals, arguably, in the sport's history. I mean, I don't think it's just going to get dropped in the middle of a race week.
Yeah, you can't pretend. We can't sit here and pretend that like they didn't have one of the most dominant, if not the dominant season of Formula One history in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, hinting at the prospect, it's lurking out there in the online space, but I mean, there's just been so much success there. The relationship scandal at that time wasn't even enough to get him kicked out of the grid. And by all accounts, he still has the backing of all of the Red Bull shareholders. This season has a lot on the line for Red Bull. I think they are going all in this season, and to see them still trailing McLaren by quite as much as they are isn't necessarily promising, especially with, again, how much they're investing into this year's championship to try to keep Max Verstappen happy, to try to make sure he doesn't utilize some exit clauses that we have all kind of speculated are a part of his contract, that a lot of pundits in the media are speculating are part of his terms and conditions. Imola, there are more reports of them bringing upgrades. In Miami last week, they brought an upgraded floor with a very innovative design that kept them in the mix there as well. But I think he finished about 40-ish seconds behind the McLarens. So there's still obviously a lot of work to do there, but they're bringing upgrades. They're committing. Christian Horner obviously is not taking any kind of back seat within this process either. The speculation of him being gone, I think, is shocking for something like this to even happen mid-season amid their 400th race together. He's led this project the whole way ever since they took over. I think that there's.
I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to a downtime, to a down period of Red Bull.
Yeah, I think that there might be people out there might be fans out there that don't necessarily like Christian Horner the same way that there are fans out there who don't like Toto Wolff, or they might not like Zach Brown. And there's obviously plenty of reasons that you may feel that way as far as the person or the background or what has followed Red Bull, but the success is there, and at the end of the day, and especially amid no scandal at the moment, it doesn't make a lot of sense, at least in my eyes.